morning. And welcome. Sorry that video turned out to be a little bit longer than I anticipated, but the reason for running it, for many of you that have joined us over the years, you've noticed that I never perform, okay? I never get on stage, I never talk. We always really have a great professional slate of speakers. So unfortunately today you're gonna have to take a little bit of my dialogue. And the reason for that is we really want to spend some time talking about entrepreneurship, okay, and why it is such, a critical point in our country right now. We're at a crossroad with the economic conditions and a lot of our great jobs that have been lost to other countries. So I'm very passionate about this. So I wanted to deliver some comments this morning on why it's important for all of us in the room to participate in growing the American economy. So I welcome everyone. I thank you for coming from all parts of the U.S. And our good friends from Puerto Rico, Alaska, and Hawaii. We're here to have a celebration. We're here to honor companies that have been extremely successful in their fields of endeavor. Today, it's really about honoring everyone who's participated in elevating, economic conditions in the American economy. Our Div 500 award winners, these are all tremendous businesses. We are in the business, and I'll back up for a second, just to clarify, because our business model has changed since we started in 1999, but we are in the business of data collection, research, and analysis. And we're here today for the results of those analyses. And what those analyses do, and they identify to us who are the largest privately owned businesses across a lot of different sectors. Who are the individuals that are driving the country in diversity initiatives? Those are our champions. And who are the major corporations that are providing the opportunities to allow these businesses to grow? All right? So we are all in this together, all right? All three sectors, and all three sectors, work together, and it's really what provides, the end result. All right, so in the room we have businesses that are around the $1 million in annual revenue range, and we have some businesses that are, over $1 billion in annual revenue. The thing that we try to do, and we constantly do at diversitybusiness.com, is dispel the myth that, privately held businesses, small businesses, diverse-owned businesses are small businesses. We are not small businesses. We are all pretty significant in the space that we play. Now, no one in the room has annual revenue less than $1 million. Okay, that's why we're all here. And on average, most of the players in this room do about $50 million in annual revenue. Okay, this is a mature audience, and that's really what we have gathered in our conferences over the years. So we want to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and why it's so extremely important right now. Now, I ran the video, and that video is actually about 10 years old, but I thought there were a couple of significant things in there that would add to our conversations today, although they added to some things that weren't. But fundamentally, what we're looking at is what has driven people to success, okay? And what really is what an entrepreneur is about. What is in all of our minds, and what drives us on a regular basis. You saw in that picture, that first little guy, that was me, in a truck that was probably about a 1948 Ford or something, okay? Now, I'm quite proud of the fact that when I was a young boy, I collected garbage. That was our family business. When I was older, 10, 11, 12 years old, we ran a route every morning, collecting trash from local restaurants and other types of establishments on the route. So I would wake up about 4:30 in the morning with my older brother, and we would run this route before school. And typically the route would maybe run a little late, so we're still on the back of this truck picking up stuff, and it'd be pretty common for some of people that knew us to see us running this route. So by the time I got in high school, we're still kind of doing this thing. The business is still going, although we're starting to struggle a little bit because of technology. So we're, I'll date myself. I'm not too worried about that. So we're in the 60s somewhere with this. So as, you know, a 13, 14, 15-year-old, I'm still working on the back of this truck. And typically I would get to school when I was in high school, and you know, it'd be maybe a laughing point for some kids. Did that bother me? Not exactly. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I really want to get to the point that it's okay to be different. Okay, and at the heart of every entrepreneur, there's something different about you. There's something different that has driven you to step outside of not following kind of someone else's path, working for someone else's company, and doing your own thing, in spite of what anybody else might have to think. But as the years went by, the first thing I did when I was 16 years old, because one thing that I did learn as a young lad, I never spent any money. I always saved up all of my money. But the first thing I did when I was 16 years old, immediately I got my license, like day one. The second day I went out and brought a Camaro. Does everybody remember those Camaros when they first came out? All right. So the young guys that laughed at me as I did this rubbish route, I'm driving the slickest car in school. Okay, very comfortably. It was not a struggle for me to pay for it. Okay, they were still walking. Okay, and they were probably still, you know, feeling, you know, what the hell happened here? Okay? So it's really important that everyone understands that as you continue with your businesses, there might be something a little crazy that you want to do. There may not be anyone in your court that supports what you're doing, but something in your heart will drive you to go to that next level. Something in your heart, because you have passion, will drive you to do that next step in whatever your business endeavor happens to be. So at diversitybusiness.com, we're really exist to try to assist with those business connections. Early on, 1999, I had the idea of creating diversitybusiness.com when we were still big, huge in the IT industry. Really, it was a free product. It was designed for free and easy access. And really, what I wanted to do was provide a platform so everyone could make those connections in electronic space. All right. So we had the first virtual chamber of commerce, you know, really pointed at diverse-owned businesses. Okay, particularly women and ethnically background businesses. That was 1999. All right. That was pre-Facebook. That was pre-LinkedIn. That we were making these business connections. At the end of our first year, we had about 10,000 members, and I thought that was tremendous. At the end of our second year, we had, you know, maybe about 22, 23,000 members. As of this day, we have 1.3 million businesses in our repository, right? Because at the heart of everything that we do, we're technology-based, all right? I'm just a computer programmer that had a couple of ideas, all right? So, you know, am I a great salesman? Am I a great marketing person? At the heart of things, I'm still a technologist. So everything that drives diversity business is going to be some type of technology solution behind that. And we learned how to, you know, exploit data that's in the marketplace. We learned how to use that. So exponentially, we will continue to grow that repository. And that gives us, you know, a bit of strength that it really separates us from the pack from like Dun & Bradstreet and some of the other data providers. Because we're still, you know, very focused on multicultural owned businesses. So entrepreneurship, what does this mean, and why is it so important right now? When you sit down and talk to some of the people in the room, and I'm talking about some of the privately owned businesses, you know, that really want to have relationships and grow the relationships with the larger businesses that are in the room. It's a very difficult atmosphere. Okay, people come to me every day on a regular basis. How do I do it? How do I get in that door? And the truth, the reality of it is, it's not easy. Okay, the truth, the reality of it, it takes a very long time. The reality is, you have to be, you know, a world-class supplier, whether you're a small business or not. All right, it's not an easy process at all. And you know, if you're looking back at that slide and some of the things in the video, it was a long time coming, you know, to grow a business, you know, up until the $1 million range. Okay, I went out and ventured on my own. I was probably 25, 26 years old. I thought I was a hotshot programmer and I did not need to work for corporate America. I started selling myself as a consultant. That worked fine. I started selling other people to work, you know, that worked fine. But it didn't happen overnight. After the first 2 or 3 years, I might have had 4 employees. After the first 5 or 6 years, maybe 12 employees. But people who know IT consulting, and if you backtrack, I mean, that was a great business because you're still with great margins and that type of thing that existed, right? So it did not come overnight, but you know, after the 15-year mark, we had 200 employees, you know, and we essentially had connections and worked with just about every major corporation that was out there, and certainly just everybody in the room here. That was not easy. Okay? Because it's just like everything else, you know, your first point of contact, fundamentally they want to know, what do you do and who are you doing it for? What do you do and who are you doing it for? And if you're not doing it for anybody yet, it's very difficult to get that first, you know, that first contract. So I ask you to be patient, you know, the business owners, and just stay the course. You know, this is long range, working with large businesses, right? To be successful, and you got to work at least 5 or 6 years just to get a little bit of flow going. But you know, the $100 million businesses that are in the room, you know, they've been around at least 15 years. Okay, it did not come overnight, right?